We can call the meeting order in compliance with Federal Information Act. Notice this meeting was submitted by fax, Spartanburg Journal, posted on the bulletin board in the lobby town hall and on the town's website. Invocation.
Let us pray. Father God, Lord, we just again, Lord, come to you tonight, Father, here at our town meeting, Lord, and we're asking you, Lord God, again, give our town council, Father, the wisdom and knowledge to be able to lead our town the way that you'd have to be led, Lord, and Lord God, that you would touch and move each one, Lord, and Lord God, that you just indeed give them that wisdom and knowledge they need tonight, Father. Now, Lord, we come to you with the needs and requests of our town, Father. They are many, Father. They're both been spoken and unspoken over time, Father. But indeed, Lord God, you are Jehovah Jireh, the God of provision. So we're asking tonight, Father, for that provision, for the very storehouse of heaven, Father, to open up, shower down blessings upon your people, upon this land once again, Lord. Touch us tonight, Father. Move on us tonight. We ask this in Jesus' name, and amen.
Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval minutes of February 1st, 2024.
Motion to approve February 1st, 2024 minutes.
Motion made and approved.
Second.
Moved second. Any questions? All in favor? All opposed? Any approved minutes of February 24th, 2024?
A motion to approve February 24th, 2024 minutes.
Second.
Motion made second. Any questions? All in favor? All opposed?
Is this for legal advice again? We don't have a lawyer here.
That's, it's discussion, we see the legal advice, or the legal advice, and it's pending threat, potential claim matters coming about the 25 Thursday.
Just prior to the start of this meeting, we got another email from our attorney addressing that situation. I think we may want to hold off until you review that email.
Is that the situation? We don't even know what the situation is. I mean, unless we assume that, but we should probably get an opinion from him. We do a lot of executive sessions.
We reply.
He's responding.
I can read out time if you like.
Are you gonna read both?
I can read everything, I don't want. In executive session.
Oh, well, I mean, it's already open for it now. Because we received it via email. So it's not an executive session item.
Do we need him here? Do I know what the question is?
It's for legal advice, so I would say yes. Yes, no. Of these executive sessions.
I second, because I need to know what's going on.
Okay. Motion made and second to go into executive session. Any questions now? Any more questions? All in favor? All opposed? Carried. We'll go into executive session.
Administrators from other towns that said, although it may not be a state law, I think it's good practice that if we do a storm, that if we do have people who are able to come out, with the town being able to pay overtime to assist the fire department in clearing roads.
Clearing as in removing debris, not necessarily ice or.
Correct, yes, it was just for clearing debris off the roads to make them pass.
I make a motion we approve second reading of an ordinance to establish public works.
Motion made to second.
I'll second.
Motion made and second to second reading of the ordinance establish public works requirement for town of Pacolet. Any questions?
I have a couple of questions. So, I mean, with this, is there any kind of, job descriptions or anything of that sort? Or is this just an ordinance that says we have it and we're not going to use it? Or what exactly is the purpose of intended? for
This allows us to be able to have a department for public works, but until the council approve funding in the budget to be able to fund employees and staff there, it wouldn't be in effect. So right now it's creating the Department of Public Works. It would be up to y'all in the budget for the next year to approve staff time and equipment in there.
When you say staff time, I mean overtime?
No, I'm talking about just staff in general. As of right now, the department doesn't exist, so if you approve it, the only thing is on paper, you have a public works department. That doesn't actually mean that you have to hire anybody at that point. You have to actually be able to fund it. And if you can't fund it, then it's just on paper, but it doesn't actually exist in real life.
How long are we under contract that we currently use?
We're under contract through June. So July 1st, we'll be no longer under contract with them.
Yeah, this couldn't start till fiscal year. We want it till July.
Any other questions? You have some more?
No. Yeah.
What?
That's it.
Okay, all right. Motion made and seconded. Any other questions? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. All right. Consider amending, September 1st, 2022 council meeting minutes.
Make a motion, we accept the amended September 1st, 2022 minutes.
Motion made to amend the September 1st, 2022 council meeting minutes. Any questions? Need a second?
And then being amended to, just say, what you said.
It's included in the packet.
At our last meeting, we discussed what the amendments were, and we were going to review those prior to this meeting. I second it, we will second it.
There were some discrepancies in terms of what was in there, what was not in there, and so we just had staff just transcribe exactly what was said based on the video.
Okay. Motion, you second.
I second, motion second, the amendments.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All in favor? All opposed? Consider second reading of amendment, the reading to amend the business license ordinance of town of Pacolet to update the class schedule as required by Act 176 of 2020.
Make a motion, we approve the second reading to amend the business license ordinance.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions? All in favor? All opposed? Consider the second reading of ordinance to restrict truck traffic on Stone Street and Montgomery Avenue. Ordinance 2024-02.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2024.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions?
There's a comment in there for the line. Did receive approval from SCDOT, so this is good to go. So as soon as you all approve this, it becomes law, it comes into effect. As I stated in the administrator's comments later on, I'll draft up a letter along with the chief, and if you, the mayor, if you'd like to sign that as well, and we'll deliver it to all the trucking companies in the area to let them know the change and what's going on, so they know that they will get a ticket if they come through on Stone and Montgomery.
Well, we're getting any more signs up to that effect?
At this point, it does not look like we're going to be getting additional signs as of what's currently out there. I think we can ask for more, or we can have some more installed, but we'll have to fill out an encroachment permit to put those in place.
I would like to have a sign that notifies truckers that with the ordinance, town ordinance that says what it is, you know, that, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I think there should be a sign, even if it's just temporary, you can ask Milliken, because over here, they own that property, they own this property, you know, so I think at least a temporary sign or a double sign that notifies truck traffic is not allowed.
On that same note, or on that same line, you don't have to add it to Jason's, it could be independent. Down here in the roundabout, there need to be some type of signage or instructions that points across the river. As in, Gaffney is that way, 85 is that way, so they don't get off and come back up the street here or have to try to make a U-turn. That would be pretty simple, but it'd probably have to go through the DOT. If nothing else but an arrow that says 85 that way, or Gaffney that way. I saw some of the dangers of the trucks making the U-turns out here at the power plant. That's
We were here, you know, doing the cameras, and guy pulled up, and he went all the way up, backed up into the parking lot of the post office and turned around.
Yeah. So, some kind of signage in the roundabout would be great.
I'll have no additional signs on there. If we have to, we'll cover the cost on there and we'll get encroachments to put them out there. One thing I know that the police department has been doing, and I don't want to speak on behalf of the chief, so if he wants to add anything on there, he has been pulling them over and letting them know that this is coming up. Because we do all realize that if someone who has a CDL license gets a ticket, they lose that CDL license. And we don't want them to lose their livelihood by going through that. But if they're doing it a second time, it's really on them at that point.
I think, I can speak for most of the council here, that we have no problem if the police chief would like to issue warnings. Unless he has habitual offenders, and take further action beyond that. I don't think that would be no issue.
Okay, if they were to receive a citation for doing this, is there points associated with that? Or is it just a monetary fee?
Not for town limits. You're right, state statute, there would be, the town limits still would not.
So it's just our town, it's a municipal ordinance that we shut in the road for truck traffic. So if they receive a ticket, it wouldn't go against their point system on their license. It would just be a municipal fine.
No, sir, however, there are insurance companies that monitor databases that seem to find that information.
CSI score.
And get that, but it wouldn't be something that would go to the SCDOT or DMV that assigns their license plate.
So if they got a municipal citation, it would still be held through court and it would go to the DMV's level.
I don't know that they would go to DMV, but it would be handled through our municipal court with our municipal judge.
Is it reported to the state or
Not municipal ordinance is not.
it's basically like a stop sign, running stop sign?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, so I would like to find out if that's actually go against. But it's your discretion, the officer's discretion, whether you write the violation or not, correct?
Yes, sir, and the traffic that we get predominantly seems to be not repeat offenders and not repeat drivers because they're going to the Dollar General Center. They're coming and going from all over the country. It's pretty rare to see the same driver more than once. So far, knock on wood, warnings has helped quite a bit. And every person we stop, we say, please get on the radio and let all the other drivers that you know not to take this route.
Do you think it'd be okay to maybe notify Dollar General if they have a dispatch or, you know?
Well, that's what we talked about. We're gonna write a letter and send it to all the trucking companies throughout the whole area to
Yeah.
let them know. And we'll send it to Dollar General.
Don't, yeah.
Because we'd rather nip it in the bud before he leaves.
Yeah, I just think it's fair to notify.
And there's also ways to contact and get in touch with whoever's the GPS provider, especially for the industrial part of it.
They've been working on that in Columbia from DOT's point of view, but I'll check back with them and see if they can kind of push that through.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to restrict those, that's correct. Any other questions? All in favor? All opposed? Okay, you good. Consider resolution to restructure the town council's agenda. I'll have that in your package, talking about moving the executive session to the last, toward the last. For me, I think, I think it would probably be better if we had it before the meeting, instead of putting it in the back. A lot of important things happen in executive session, and if we could have, the people that, here, that, when we come out of executive session, we can, express what we came up with, if we do have a, mind breaking.
I strongly agree with that.
That's also how Spartanburg County does theirs, is they have theirs prior to their main meeting.
If anybody had any objection to having it before,
How soon before?
well, how soon,
At 6:45.
well,
It'd be nice to have it that close, because then we'd have a time limit.
6:30, 6:45, something like that. 6:30?
6:45 would be too tight, but.
Yeah. 6:30?
6:30.
Yeah.
I have an issue with
So
that.
we're talking about having a meeting before the meeting. That would
If we have to have an executive session,
would be a special meeting to include an executive session prior to the regular town council meeting.
Any problem with that? We would do it. I mean, it'd be just a standard, we wouldn't have to call a meeting every time, we just have, that's the way we schedule it. Well, I mean, if we change it all together, I mean, it wouldn't have to be a meeting before the meeting, it would be, that would be extended that before the meeting. I mean, it would be that extension of the meeting.
So you mean come to the council meeting early?
Yeah.
The regular scheduled council meeting that we approve, that's where I'm trying to figure out whether it's legal or not, like, if that's appropriate, like, so, or we approved a schedule of council meetings, regular scheduled council meetings at 7:00 on specific days throughout the year. If we were to have an executive session early, that would have to be a special call meeting that contains just an executive session.
Possible.
if we have executive session, it has to be requested by one of us. So,
Well,
Typically, executive sessions happen during the scheduled council meeting.
I think this would help to really cut down these executive sessions unless they're absolutely necessary. I mean, if executive session should be
Well,
pretty rare.
Spartan,
I can check with Spartanburg County, but they always, their meetings start at 5 or 5:15. And then when we get, by the time the public gets there, they've already had their executive session prior to the meeting itself.
well,
That way it's already out of the way. And then if there's anything groundbreaking that kind of happened in that executive session, then the first thing that you can kind of say is, let's go ahead and pass whatever needs to be passed at that point. What I get concerned about is if you have it at the very end of the meeting and most people leave, then nobody knows what was decided on after the meeting and everyone's left, and the only thing you've got left is either if there's a video.
well, okay, I would be in favor of just leaving it like it is right now, and then we find out, if we, how we have to go about it. I think just leave it like it is right now.
Was that the only thing changed in the order?
no, sir.
There was departments removed a little bit.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Wright requested that our guest speakers speak in the beginning instead of at the end, so they're not detained.
Well, that's how we do it now, I believe, right, isn't it? Guess.
I'm not talking about the public, I'm talking about the RCI and the police chief and
Department.
Departments.
Yes.
Because if we have guests, like one department comes in, they speak first.
But one of my intentions with the letter, or changing everything up, is, like, the chief is here tonight, so, and I don't know if he's here just to give his report. I mean, that report can just be simply added to the minutes by request by the administrator, so it's really not necessary for our chief to be here. He works 40-something hours, 50 hours, I don't know how many hours he works, but, he could be doing something different. It's not necessary for him to be here for the entire meeting to give us a report at the end, when he could just be simply added to the minutes. Same with the building official and the administrator's report. It can be simply added to the minutes, and it doesn't have to take 30 minutes to read the entire thing out. We can read it ourselves, and prior to the meeting, the public can read it, you know, from the meeting minutes posted online. So this is just an effort to reduce the length of this council meeting. If all these reports are just simply added to the minutes, they don't have to be spoken, they don't have to be told. This can be a lot quicker.
I think that's a great idea. I think the only concern is the executive session at the end because of the sensitive nature of a lot of executive sessions.
I only put that on there because I thought, it seems like most of the people that talk to me hate the fact that they have executive session and it takes an hour and they want to leave. So having executive session at the end of the night, rarely do we make a decision from executive session. So I felt like we could get all of the business done for the public, and then if we have to have something that takes an hour or 2 hours or 20 minutes or 5, it can be at the end of the meeting, and then we can adjourn afterwards and we're done. I'm only trying to do this for us because this takes a long time.
Sure.
A lot of my time and a lot of Mr. K's time and Tony's time. Sandwich is probably no good when she gets home. I'm just trying to speed this process up. That's my only intention on all of this. Just speed up the process.
I think it'd be great if we just limited our time in executive session. Give ourselves a little bit of a time limit and came in, hit our points. We're done.
Go down, I'm sorry.
I'm saying, I think executive session should maybe be limited. I don't want to take anyone's time to speak, but if we can get in and get out, come prepared, so there's not this open-ended, indefinite. If the public knows, okay, they're going into executive session, they're going to be out 30 minutes max. That's a lot easier than they might be out in 2 hours.
So you're saying put a time limit on?
I would love to make executive sessions extremely rare, but if we are going to go in there, it's going to be something very important, so we should come prepared, put our points across, and get out. I'll give you an example. We have the September 1st, we've done this before, had executive session at the end of a meeting. I remember only one time, and it's kind of strange and ironic that it happens to be the September 1st, 2022 meeting. If you'll notice, we have it right in front of us. If you notice the agenda as executive session, oddly, at the end, right before administrator comments. It's item 9. And at least 5 people at this table remember that executive session. You know, these are sensitive, extremely important topics. So I don't want to see this again. I want to see this at the front, at the beginning. I don't know why that was moved to the end that time, but that was not a fun meeting. And I think we should keep at the beginning.
Well, in talking about having limited, you still want the administrator and all that moved up?
I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
I don't see any issue with that, and if they want to just include their comments in the minutes, I definitely want to be sensitive to.
And if they need to speak or something, then they can have that front, and then they have the executive session afterward limited to certain amount of time.
I certainly think that if Mr. K or Chief Halls, if they feel like they need to have a discussion on their comments or something,
Yeah.
then they certainly should be able to stay and discuss it. Otherwise, it could be done as in a memo or in the minutes that we can just read it and prove it. As far as what we're discussing right now, the changing of the schedule, this was suggested by Mr. Wright. I think that it may be that we want to table this and rewrite it in a more satisfactory manner and look at it next time. So I'll make a motion to table this at this time and rewrite concerning the guest head speakers and the executive session. Put it back at the front, maybe put a time limit on it, and we'll discuss it and vote on it next time.
don't think we should put a time limit on executive session.
Well, I don't think you're gonna be able to do a total time limit. You know, if there is, you know, sometimes we're gonna have to go over. I mean, there's gonna be more than one thing in the executive session too. It might not just be one particular thing, it might be more than one.
I'm fine, I'll second the motion to table, but what I would also like is, so that the schedule that we're talking about, all of the council members had this proposed schedule for quite a long time. And we could have easily made our comments to Mr. K about what we do and don't like, and I think it could have been very informed, so we wouldn't have had to have this amount of conversation about this one topic. That would have been a lot easier. You know, I'm just trying to speed this process up. So
I'd like to,
when we get our emails, maybe we could just.
I'd like to say this, you know.
And everybody can do that on
We get
other topics, too.
our packets
Right.
all the same time. You know, go over those packets, and if there's any questions, you know, get back the packet, or whoever, and find out that before we get to the meeting, you know, like we're talking about here. I mean, we spending a lot of time on this tonight, and we don't really need to. And, but if you'll look at your packet, have it ready, and if you have any questions, call Patrick about it, or text him, or whatever, and get it settled before we have a meeting. And that way it'll save a lot of time, and that's what we're trying to do, save a lot of time, save Patrick and Tony and the chief time, and Brian his time. I mean, that's what we need to do. So, motion made to table it, second, motion made to second to table it, all in favor? All opposed, okay. Consider creating internship position at town for 2024 summer.
If you don't mind, I would read this memo just for the record.
Yeah.
One Spartanburg recently reached out to the town of Pacolet in partnership to provide an internship for a high school student from the STAR Fellowship. This is an opportunity for the town to receive valuable support and labor from a local student, and in turn will provide a meaningful opportunity to a high school student in this area. We have requested to be partnered with a Broome High School student, as the town of Pacolet is located in Spartanburg School District 3. The program is also supported by Dr. Julie Fowler, District 3 Superintendent, Chris Jolly, District 3 Board Chair. The STAR Fellowship is a collaboration with One Spartanburg Incorporated and the Spartanburg Academic Movement, and aims to place 100 high school seniors in internships this summer. Since September, 17 career development facilitators at our high schools have participated in monthly sessions to meet with and learn from industry-specific leaders. These industries include manufacturing, healthcare, transportation, supply chain, logistics, hospitality, nonprofit, social, and education. One Spartanburg Incorporated and these CDFs are committed to matching student learning objectives with local opportunities for their benefit, and are seeking employers, companies, and organizations to take on and provide an internship for our local seniors. It will be part-time, as most of the students will have other activities occurring during the summer, including clubs and sports. The student would commit to 40 to 45 hours for the summer and will be set up on a 1 to 2 day a week schedule. The cost to the town will be approximately $500, which will be paid to the student as if they were a part-time employee of the town. In my previous jobs, I have had multiple internships, mostly unpaid, and all of them work out very well. This would give a student a chance to learn about the community, acquire valuable skills, and a chance to determine if local government field is something they may be interested in.
Okay.
A motion, we create this summer internship position.
I second.
Motion made and second to create an internship position this summer, 2024. Any questions? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Consider approving the application for sewer expansion to the RIA infrastructure grant.
You all had previously approved this a long time ago, but at that time, the way this works is the town cannot necessarily apply unless the person who owns the infrastructure is also okay with this at the time. And although One Spartanburg was okay with this at the time working on this, they could only apply for one grant at a time. They were applying for another project on their infrastructure at that time and didn't want it to jeopardize that grant, so they told us not to apply. There's another opportunity that's coming up in the fall of this year to go forward with this. The costs have changed on here. One of the things that I want to make sure that you are aware of is that the way that RIA works is we can only get 75% of the cost of construction only. So the cost for surveying and the cost for engineering fees is not part of that. So the town has to pay for those engineering fees and the survey fees. The surveys are to allow for the easement of where this proposed sewer line would go and to change people's plats who own properties in those areas. So those are some costs that are on there. So to do this project, I believe on here that we have that you'd have to take approximately $50,000 would have to come from the general fund for this project. Approximately, I think I mentioned on here, I think it's about 48 that ends up coming from ARPA. Yeah, so the match from the town plus the design, engineering, and administration fees is a total of $98,200. Of that, I was saying that about $48,200 of that comes from ARPA funds, $50,000 comes out of general funds to be able to do this project. There's an additional request, and it's up to you if you want to do this or not, $15,000 for Appalachian Council of Governments to manage the grant, or we just manage it in-house. They are currently managing the master plan for the stormwater, and they are well worth their time right now because CDBG involves a lot of work, additional work in there. I don't think RIA is going to be involved that much. Plus, I'm going to learn how to do a lot of the RIA stuff this time, so we'll do that in-house and save some money on that. But if you would like to, you go either way.
When is this grant due?
September.
Is there no other options?
What's that?
Is there no other options?
Options for,
Other grants.
You know, other routes or other grants or?
we can continue
This
to
is
look
the same
for,
route that we looked at last time, right?
it's the same thing we looked at last time. Now, one thing that has happened since we originally looked at this project, and you can see in my administrator's report, we've had some conversations with Norfolk Southern. And there may be some opportunities for us to save on the surveying cost by going through the Norfolk Southern property and going over to Memorial Drive. We were at the time trying to avoid Norfolk Southern because we thought they would be a lot more difficult to work with. But based on our conversations that we've recently had, that may be a way to save some money on there. The surveys on there are approximately $3,000 to $5,000 per. That is an estimate on there. We think we can get a little bit lower than that. And initially, we're looking at 7 surveys, or 7 plat surveys that need to be done.
So there's something from Norfolk Southern.
So as of right now, the way the proposal right now is to not go through the Norfolk Southern property. But there may be, if Norfolk Southern is going to be is easier to work with, is easier than we thought it was going to work with there, could end up saving us a lot of money. Because as you can see on there, then you'll go through about 3 or 4 less properties by just going through the Norfolk Southern property. Then you would have them, I believe, what is that, Pedro? His property that's there.
Michael, right?
Michael.
So, I'd like to table this until we find out if that's feasible.
That's fine. As long as you're okay with the direction of this. The only thing is I can look for additional grants on here, but this looks like it's the best option for us. And I'm hoping with Norfolk Southern, with our recent conversations with them, that we could go through their property and save some money on the fees.
I make a motion to table this until we get more information.
Motion made to table.
I second.
Motion made to second. Any other questions? All in favor? Opposed?
And the main reason you're looking to table is the direction of which we're going on here. Is that correct?
I know there's ways to save on the cost.
Yeah.
It looks like, it says we're paying half the cost, essentially.
Yes. But it's because it's such a small project that's on there. You get a lot more bang for your buck if you do a large project where your surveying costs and because your surveying costs and your costs for the engineering on there are pretty well kind of fixed on there. And then what ends up happening is your construction ends up being much larger and much bigger project, and your 75% number is a lot higher.
Okay. Moving on, consider the ordinance to establish the Construction Board of Appeals.
We had someone in the community who was asking about creating this and looked into it, talked to a few different people out there, and I had mixed reviews from different people about whether we should move forward with this. It was actually our current contract RCI who recommended that we proceed with this. So looked at the different options of what other boards are made up and how they're done. And came up with this. I sent a copy to Mr. Frost to review. He since then has come back and said it looks good the way it is right now. However, he said let the council know that as you start going through this and as you start having meetings, that there may be a need at some point to update this ordinance. So let them know that if you come back to council making some changes on there, that's to be expected. You don't know what you don't know yet. And until we start getting into this, we may need to make some changes after we start going through this. But he said, based on this, and his comment we had was, you can use what you've got, or I can write you something that's 85 pages long.
So this is a first reading.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve first reading an ordinance to establish a construction board of appeals.
Motion made to establish ordinance, consider ordinance, establishment, Construction Board of Appeals.
I'll second.
Motion made and second. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Discussion of the Building Permit and Code Enforcement Committee.
One of my questions was, is there specific things that the entire council wants us to look for, or report, or how does the council work? Us to,
Proceed then.
right.
Okay.
Now, it's my understanding before we started discussing this, that there was some real concern with the cost of some of the fees, and that we were going to establish this committee to review our surrounding areas as what the cost is and compare with what's being charged by the town of Pacolet or RCI, and maybe something that we look at discussing with RCI if they want to continue as our building permit and code enforcement, to negotiate some of these charges if they're outlandishly high compared to, say, Inman or Woodruff or Union or our surrounding areas.
Sorry.
No, that's good.
So there are two methods being considered or in the works to reduce some fees. I don't want to get into detail on those because they're not really hammered out, but there are possibilities to alleviate some of the fees. It may not be to everyone's liking, it probably won't, but I think that's something we should continue looking at. Are there other directions that you'd like this committee to go? We also, as a town, one of the methods is we could consider simply having the town reduce our portion of what we collect, which is 20%. Basically subsidize it. I just want to plant that seed. We got to work out some details on that. I maybe shouldn't have mentioned that soon, but it is, it is a possibility. I just want people to know that, we care about the fees. We are getting a better product, so the fees are going to be higher, but we do care about the hardship. We're working on it. I do also want to note that I wasn't really included in the planning of this committee meeting. I was told that it was going to happen with or without me, and if I wanted to show up. So I think we need to work on how these committee meetings are planned collectively, so that these types of details that I'm now speaking of can be discussed in detail. I know that Ms. Sexton and Mr. Wright met. I'm not sure exactly what they discussed, but maybe they can add something.
Don't have anything out of that committee meeting?
I wasn't actually going to speak on anything from the meeting because all parties weren't there. I was just simply asking what the council requested. I didn't intend on going over any specific details or anything like that until the entire committee got to meet or, exchange information, things like that.
What I'd like to see, I don't know what the rest of the council, the committee is half the council, so I would like to see some comparison as to where the huge discrepancies are, and we can open the floor up with what the committee recommends, and then we can go from there as a whole council as to what procedures we want to take to rectify some of these findings, and that's my opinion.
That's the reason I had it on the agenda, is just so I can get something from council members, specifics, what you guys are looking for.
If you think of anything else, we got it tonight, but we think anything in between that, getting with these members, if we got any other questions or, get in touch with them. Let them know what, before they have another meeting. Okay? Everybody okay with that?
We don't know when the next meeting will be?
Not right now.
Not right yet.
Yeah, we'll let us know when the next meeting.
Okay.
I don't know, I think we, typically, like, we've had our finance committee meetings right before the council meetings. So, what I figure we'll do is we'll just communicate well throughout the month and have a sit down maybe before the next meeting, but that's kind of up to all committee members. It's just my opinion. I'm not 100% sure what everybody's comfortable with yet. So.
I did.
Love it.
Yeah. All right. Moving on then. Consider first reading of the amendment to the zoning ordinance, table 1, zoning provisions in chapter 3.
This is a recommendation that came from the Planning Commission. You'll see on there for table 1, zoning provisions under neighborhood village, that the side setback can be changed from, I believe it's 6 foot to 10 foot.
I make a motion, we approve this amendment to zoning ordinance table 1, zoning provisions, chapter 3.
I second it.
Motion made and seconded, first reading amendment to the zoning ordinance, table 1, zoning provision, chapter 3. Any questions? All in favor? All opposed? Consider first reading of amendment to the zoning ordinance, table 2, zoning provision in chapter 3.
This is another recommendation from the Planning Commission. It's based off of several variance requests that have come before the board. Actually, there's been one variance request that's come before them, but multiple other people are having some issues with this. I'll give you an example. Sunset Drive. There's a house that's on Sunset Drive. There's a lot, the identical size of that. There's a house that's on a lot. There's a vacant lot beside it, identical in size. Our ordinances do not allow a home to be built on that property, because we have maximum lot sizes. And so, right, for instance, in that particular area, there was a 12,000 square foot max size that would prevent, so the largest size you would have is 12,000 square feet. The problem that you have in there is that 12,000 square feet. That is less than a quarter of an acre, which is not large enough for a septic tank. So a lot of the home lots in this area need to have septic tanks. And septic tanks need to be at least about a half acre, I believe, for a septic tank to be out there. The main thing is this is just something for now to alleviate the number of variance requests that are going to be coming through. And I'll give you another example. If you own a property that's, say, 2 acres, or even an acre in town, and you want to split it up and put 2 houses on it, you can't. In the town of Pacolet, the max lot size that you can have is 12,000 square feet. So you have to reduce the size of that property all the way down to 12,000 square feet. You could not have a half acre, you couldn't have a 0.3 acre property in there. And we're getting a lot of requests for people to have 2 acre, 3 acre, 4 acre lot sizes. So later on down this year, the council has already approved for the zoning ordinance to be updated by the Appalachian Council of Governments. The recommendation from the Planning Commission was to remove the max sizes on the neighborhood edge, neighborhood general, and neighborhood village. Go ahead and remove those. And if y'all want to end up putting them back in later on down the road after you've evaluated, so this is going to alleviate a lot of issues. The other thing that has been reduced or changed on here, and I can show you a copy of mine here. There used to be under neighborhood village a high density residential column on here, and it stated that the smallest lot size you can have is 4,000 square feet. Most lot sizes in the neighborhood village, which is the Pacolet Mills area, are at least 8,000 or 9,000 square feet. So that enabled a particular house or a particular lot on Stone to be able to divide it up and put 2 homes directly in that lot there. So this is to remove the high density residential column out of neighborhood village to prevent that in the future in that particular zoning district.
Okay. Consider first reading of the amendment. Zoning ordinance table 2, zoning provision in chapter 3.
Need a motion to accept the first reading.
Yes, sir.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made to amend that zoning ordinance.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions?
I'm going to make a comment just so y'all understand kind of what the stuff is in here and why we're updating this. We just recently had a request from someone who has a house on limestone. Most of the homes that are on limestone were originally built as duplexes, and he would like to go back to a duplex. Your ordinances do not allow him to do that. The reason being is his property is 1,600 square foot. For him to divide that house up, we're looking at 800 square feet, 2 different locations. Your zoning ordinance states that to do a multifamily on a lot, the smallest square footage of the first house has to be 2,000 square feet, and the smallest size of the second on the lot has to be a minimum of, the first one has to be 2,500 square feet, the next one has to be 2,000 square feet. So you would have to have a 4,500 square foot house to be able to split it up, which doesn't make sense because that's not what was originally here. That's not on the agenda tonight. If those start becoming a problem as well, we'll start bringing those to.
I just have a little request.
Sure.
Before the next reading of both of these?
You want it in color?
No, we're okay with that. I want a clear, description of everything that's being changed.
Sure.
Just write it out for me so I know all the different changes, because I think I see highlighter marks.
What I could also do is show it before and
Compared this
after.
to what's on the, you know what I'm saying? I think it'd be a lot easier for everybody just to see what each and every change.
You mind if I come up there for a second?
Well, just show me, just.
Yeah, I mean, if I could just show you all before and after. This is what it
Yeah, that's all.
currently is, and this is what I want to change it to.
That'd be good.
I just want to understand, so for instance, if you have a half an acre lot and say you want to split that into a quarter to be able to build a house, this is what this is for. Is that what you're saying?
The main thing is the smallest lot size that you can have in many of the areas right now is the largest lot size that you can have in many of these areas is in neighborhood edge is 10,000 square feet, and neighborhood general and neighborhood village is 12,000 square feet. Just to kind of give you an idea of what that is, 45,000 square feet is one acre.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any questions? Any more questions? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Considered, the first reading of the rezoning 471, Highway 150, Parcel ID 3-29-15-019.00.
This is another recommendation from the Planning Commission to rezone 471 Highway 150. Originally, just to kind of give you some context on this, I believe the property was a business that was connected to a house or was on the same property as a house, and there was a florist there at one point. Because of the fact that it has been more than a year since the last tenant left, it reverts to the zoning that's there. So the property is located in a residential zone. Because it's in a residential zone, the only thing that can be there are primarily residences. Now, there are some very limited things that can be in there in a residential area. And if you look through your zoning ordinance, you can see what's permitted and what's not. But it limits that property. For instance, a florist cannot be there anymore. And so a satellite depot building cannot be there anymore. And so it limits what he can put in that particular location. To change this into neighborhood edge is a transitionary zone between residential and commercial that allows a little bit more stuff than just the residential area.
And their recommendation is we change from,
Neighborhood general to neighborhood edge.
and this is the first reading.
That's correct.
I'll make a motion to accept the first reading. This is directly on US 150.
That's correct.
High traffic area, which should be most appealing to any new business growth. I'll make a motion to accept the first reading.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to accept the first reading, rezone 471 Highway 150, from neighborhood general to neighborhood edge. Any other questions?
Okay. I want to know why this didn't go to the zoning appeals board.
So I asked our ACOG people out there, and a variance doesn't come into effect when you're in a zoning, because of the fact that it's a residential zoning and you're wanting to get attributes from a commercial zoning on there. That didn't apply for this. That the way to correct this was to go to a new zone.
So the ACOG recommended they go to the planning commission.
The ACOG, I asked them, and I've asked others on there in terms of this specific thing on here, and because of the nature of it on there, it's not changing, like, for instance, it's not, so for instance, if we were changing the depth of the lot, or the width of the lot, that is something that can be done in the variance on there. But because of allowing the use to be in there is not what the variance is for.
So I remember in the past, like, there was a car repair shop that went to the appeals board that was in, neighborhood general. And they granted him use of the property as a business. That was, they didn't do that right, or?
From what I'm being told by the COG that you can't change the use within that. It'd be the same thing as saying that the Board of Zoning Appeals grants for your house to be a restaurant or a bar or something like that.
I would like to see that. I'd like to understand that a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah. And was
Why
that
you can't have a
email-
restaurant or bar in your house, or
No, whatever the ACOG is saying, I would like to understand what they're.
Sure.
What they mean.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. First reading, rezoning. Any other questions? All in favor? All opposed?
and if you'd like, if you remind me at their next steering committee meeting, Jeff Gilpin is my contact for that kind of stuff,
Okay.
and he's the person who will have a great response for that.
Okay, consider the resolution to adopt 2024 goals for town factor.
Would you all like me to read it?
Yes, please. Let him read it.
You want me to read them or not? Okay.
Ned said read it.
Oh, you didn't say read them?
Y'all sit back.
I am not going to read, well, that's your I'd rather not read the resolution.
I would
I'll just
like
go
for
through
you to just add that to the meeting minutes,
the resolution.
instead of reading all of them, you know what I'm saying?
You want me to go through the must do, should do, and could do on here?
So what you say?
We can do the must do's.
Yeah, it's must do. Yeah, it's must do.
The resolution states that it's going to be on the website of the body. The must-dos on here, enhance sidewalk cleanliness by removing debris to enhance walkability. Number 2 is enhance the condition of Pacolet by maintaining and cleaning various town facilities such as storage buildings, the post office, the bridge, and the Marysville School, and create events and opportunities to involve the community with the town council.
Resolution. Oh, sorry.
Motion to accept the resolution. You second? Okay. Any questions? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Any comments, sir?
Regarding the stormwater issue at 111 Cameron Street, the county does not seem like they're going to assist in the project. However, Rich Anderson from Sun Engineering came out. We walked the properties with permission of the property owners to see what needs to be done to address the situation. We've got a couple of plans of how to address this, and Mr. Anderson is going to draft up cost estimates on those. Mr. Wright, if you'd like, I can walk that property with you and kind of explain what we're kind of looking at since it's your council district. I believe that you've got a father-in-law who's got property in the area of that street. You tell me if you want to, we can talk about it another time. At this time, Enchanted Homes has not fixed the problems that they stated they would be responsible for at Anderson Street, Fuller Street, and Brewster Street. They also stated that they would fix some issues at Keith Lee's house, and this has not been done yet. I'm hoping that the reason is due to the rain, they will fix these problems once the rain holds off. I'll skip this one. I'll kind of just hit some of the highlights on here. Founders Day is to be on Saturday, May 4th at 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. on West Main Street. Opportunities for sponsorship will be available and discounted for businesses located in Pacolet. There will be live entertainment from local musicians. Founder's Day will be, I believe it's 128 days from the original founding of the town of Pacolet. It is located on West Main Street. The farmers market is currently scheduled to open in May through August on Saturdays, 3 to 6 p.m. The location will once again be at the museum parking lot below Town Hall. Movies by the River will take place the second Saturday of every month, May through August at 9 p.m. or dusk. The committees will need to choose the 4 movies that will be shown. Sponsorship opportunities are needed for this event and are discounted for businesses located in Pacolet. Power of Pacolet will take place all day on Saturday, September 7th in the flats by the river. Additional locations will include Lawson's Fork Creek, Clifton Beach for put-ins. We're currently partnering with several organizations on this, including Spartanburg County's Recreation Department and the Vintage View Adventures. More information to follow. There was a request at one point for bags for volunteers to clean up roads on the side of the road. The bags have come in, so if anybody's interested or has adopted a road out there and would like some bags, we do have those available.
I have a question, if that's okay. With the picking up the trash,
Yes, ma'am.
the trash with the orange bags, if we pick up and leave them, will the,
If you let me know that you did that, I'll make sure our crews pick them up.
okay.
But I need to know that, otherwise we end up ticketing somebody for having trash out in the front yard.
Did we have truck, you know, the people that had trucks, we usually put them in the truck, brought them back to one location.
No, this is just for, it's safe for install. This is just for any day.
Oh, okay.
In addition, the next scheduled community cleanup will be Saturday, April 13th, noon to 2 p.m. We'll be partnering with Keep One Spartanburg Beautiful. It will take place at the fire department. IGA has agreed to sponsor the event by providing burgers and hot dogs. The fire department has agreed to provide the starting location of the event and cook all the food for those that attend. Please note the time, as in the past, has been 10 to noon. This was part of a scheduling conflict with Keep One Spartanburg Beautiful. The fire department will go ahead and start grilling hot dogs right at noon for people when they first show up. Go ahead and eat as soon as you get there, and then we'll divide up into teams for the cleanup. Currently, we are considering Saturday, April 20th for the bulk waste drop-off at the fishing piers. This will be an all-day event for Pacolet residents only. Vehicles and driver's licenses will be checked to verify. Only household garbage, metal, and C&D, which is construction debris, will be allowed. We will have a flyer where other items can be taken. Items not included will be tires, electronics, chemicals, paints, and batteries. That is the tentative date that we're looking at. Let me verify a couple of things with Spartan Waste, who will be doing the containers to verify. That'll be the date before we'll start telling everybody about it. But that is what we're looking at. The former truck that was moved surplus has been removed. We could not find a buyer for it, so it was sold for scrap. The cost to drain the fluids into the vehicle was about the same amount of funds provided for the town for scrap. The backup truck, trash truck, came back, and the sanitation crew have been using it and putting load on the system. And while they've been putting load on the system, additional minor issues have come up that are being addressed so that it can be regularly used at least once a month in the Pacolet Mills area of town. Met with representatives with Norfolk Southern recently, who has recently removed the railroad ties off of property on West Main Street. This area has been cleaned up and will be regularly maintained by our landscaping crew moving forward. In addition, there was discussion to possibly include in our lease the 5 acres behind IGA and the 2 acres of property on West Main Street. A lease will be sent to for council to review prior to the signing. The reason for the 5-acre area being included behind IGA in the lease is that it can be cleared and maintained to reduce some criminal activity in that area. This meeting would not have been possible with Norfolk Southern without the help of Scott and Chris Harris, as well as Councilman Williams. The representative also mentioned that Norfolk Southern provides grants that they would like us to apply for. The stormwater project RFP is almost ready to send out. Due to CDBG and RIA being involved in the process is taking a little bit longer. You can go ahead and look at the RFP for the town hall renovations that has been posted. And then last but not least, something has come up recently that I wanted to bring to y'all's attention. It'll be something that the ordinance committee will get to look at. As of right now, your ordinance does not allow for trash containers to be in businesses in the town of Pacolet. It specifically states that the trash containers are for residents and residents only. However, the town has in the past year, 2 years, 3 years, have been giving cans to the commercial businesses. I personally don't see it as a problem, but it's against the ordinance that's on there. It may be something that I would like for the ordinance committee to address and look at. There are times where I think we've got the businesses right down here on the corner has one. There's a few in town that have them. It would make sense for us to be able to provide them for small businesses that aren't going to use it that much. But it needs to be updated in your ordinance to allow that. So what I'm going to do is request a meeting from our ordinance committee, which I believe is Mr. Wright, Mr. Candy, and Mr. Williams, to discuss this and some other things that will come up. Mr. Blackwell is not here. He had a family emergency that he had to take care of. There's 53 code enforcement out there. There's permit plan review, reinspection, fees collected in the amount of $4,781. There's 11 inspections, posted 8 stock work orders, and also had some meetings and some research. And if there's no other questions, I'll bring the chief up here.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Council. Over the course of February, 183 calls for service, 876 officer-initiated events. Over the course of last month, we had officers complete training courses for critical incident negotiations, crime scene investigations, command estimates, officer wellness, suicide prevention, and gang activity recognition. Mr. K just mentioned our Founders Day Festival that has, I guess, recently been named. I've been working with Norfolk Southern, and my hope and intent is to get one of their engines to come to the rail tracks there at the depot, and for them to have staff members there to allow people to come on the I guess you'd call it cockpit, and explain how the train works and the history that they have and stuff like that. So I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to be a really big opportunity. It's something they've done in other communities. But I think the closest that they've done anything like that would be like Greer. So I think it would be the first to Spartanburg County, something we really need. Working with Special Agent Steve Benny from Norfolk Police to make that happen. Our first Citizens Academy completed with great success, and our next community outreach program will be implemented as an explorer program for juveniles that are interested in law enforcement as a career. I know there's some people in the room that have asked me about this in the past. We've been working on this since last summer. We do have a charter from Boy Scouts of America, which provides an underwrite of insurance coverage for that. So we are prepared to start receiving people, not necessarily applications yet, but reach out for information to email us directly at police@townpacket.com. This will be something we'll be talking about in the future for possibly some council support. But it's an unserved, I won't say niche, but it's an unserved group of population. There are some clubs at, there are some clubs at Dorman High School that currently do law enforcement study. And I think it would just be a natural extension to associate with our agency and start building our new police officers in middle school and high school as opposed to waiting until they're in their 20s and trying to do this. We look forward to support for that in the future. Any questions I can answer for anyone?
You've been in touch with District 3 on that?
I have, but not recently. I talked to them back in the fall. They have a class that they teach for law enforcement students at both Dorman and Boone. So once we get it up and running and get our meetings established, we're going to have those folks come in and do a presentation. So honestly, I'm anticipating having to turn students away. I think there's that much interest, but hopefully.
Chief, I just wanted to publicly thank you for coming up with the Founders Day name, considering some of the ideas we had that blew them all out of the water.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Anything I can do for you, Adam?
Thank you for the work.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay. Okay.
I'm commenting tonight again on the subject of executive session. This is the second time I've made comments regarding the executive session. The last time was in last year in 2023 meeting. Also, it might be that the newest members haven't read or informed themselves on what the executive session is and its importance among governmental offices. Executive session and confidentiality, why it's sometimes necessary. Some business may be too sensitive to be discussed in a public meeting if premature disclosure of the matter might harm the interests of an organization, its members, or employees. Occasionally, councils may find they need to meet in executive session for the overall public good. The Town of Pacolet Municipal Code Section 2-54 executive session states in part, quote, alphabet D, it shall be unlawful for a member of the council or person in attendance to disclose to another person or make public the substance of a matter disclosed in executive session, close quote. The Town of Pacolet Council proceedings are governed by Robert's Rules of Order as stated in the Pacolet Municipal Code, Section 2-51, Form and Rules of Order. Robert's Rules of Order is America's foremost guide to parliamentary procedure to have groups of people hold meetings, take up businesses one at a time, promote courtesy, justice, and impartiality. It is used by more professional associations and local governments than any other authority. It is a fundamental right of deliberative assemblies that all questions be thoroughly discussed before acting or making a decision. Robert's rules allow decision makers to come to conclusions without confusion. According to Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised 12th edition 9.2-24, a meeting or a portion of a meeting at which the confidential business is discussed is called an executive session. Another word for confidentiality is secrecy. The proceedings in an executive session are supposed to be and are intended to be kept secret. Holding a closed meeting is viewed as a good governance practice in a limited number of situations involving businesses that is best discussed in private. Members participating in a closed meeting are expected to keep the proceedings confidential. Robert's Rules 9-24 states, quote, a meeting enters into executive session only when required by rule or established custom or upon the adoption of a motion to do so. The motion to go in executive session is a question of privilege and is adopted by a majority vote. Operating under Robert's Rules, the member does not presume to advise on what specific matters should be considered in executive session. This will vary depending on the mission or business of the organization. Whenever a body moves into executive session, only members of the body that is meeting are permitted. All others are excluded or otherwise may be invited to attend if they have important information to share, but they do not have the right to attend unless the bylaws provide for it. Anyone who is not a member who is entitled to attend during the executive session is honor bound not to divulge anything that occurred in the executive session. The proceedings in an executive session are supposed to be and are intended to be kept secret. A general rule says Roberts in 9-26, quote, is that anything that occurs in an executive session may not be divulged to non-members except those who may be invited. The organization can take disciplinary action against members who violate the secrecy of an executive session. In doing so would represent a significant breakdown in trust between its members. Any action taken in executive session, although not the discussion, may be divulged to the extent necessary to carry it out, if authorized by the meeting. Although Robert's rules is clear that a member who violates confidentiality by revealing what happened during executive session can be disciplined, and it is helpful to reiterate this in a code of conduct. It is also necessary for the presiding officer to remind members of their duty to keep matters in an executive session confidential, particularly if that session is part of a regular meeting.
How long do we want to have this? How many pages you got there? I know it's important, but I think if you want to go with something like that, we would have had it on the agenda the other time. You know, because it's going to be that long of a comment, you know, that's, we can discuss this in private or something, you know, or online or something.
I want to make this record, and it is my,
I know it's your privilege, I know
it is.
But I mean, it's just, it's awful long.
Well, I'm sorry, Dr. Long, he had a 3-page comment. We listened to him. This is my privilege. This is my comment. And I'm entitled to it.
That you are.
The reason I have again spoken of the importance of what and why an executive session is so important and that it should not be taken lightly is because of the following, and acting with transparency to the town of Pacolet citizens regarding the dynamics of the council. It came to my attention several days before the special call town of Pacolet meeting on Tuesday, January 16th, that a council member broke a requested and marked confidential email regarding the upcoming executive session that was previously scheduled for a January 4th, 2024 meeting. An email was sent to all council members in a separate email to avoid an electronic form or another email from another council member who had requested the executive session for legal advice. The email stated that it was confidential and informed the council members of what was to be discussed during the executive session so that we may prepare for the executive session. The council member receiving this confidential information regarding the scheduled executive session then forwarded the email to the town administrator, who then forwarded it to the president of RCI, of which the executive session was regarding. In doing so, the email was made public, and that is why I could not, in good conscience, not be transparent to the town of Pacolet citizens of the disregard of and lack of untrustworthiness and honesty among and to the other council members from both the council member and town administrator and the dynamics happening within their town council, who both for whatever reason and or motive or intent they incited a hostile environment by the president of RCI's alarming and theatrical comments to the town council on February the 1st, 2024 meeting. Well, what else could have been done but only to place other council members in a bad light to the town of Pacolet citizens and or cause continued division among the council members. Not only was the council made the target of these outrageous accusations, but a council member received a cease and desist letter from the president of RCI's attorney. By sending this council member such a letter, the president of RCI just as well as sent it to the whole council. I, for one, would like to know what, in my opinion, I, for one, would like to know, and in my opinion, would think that the other council members would as well, would like an explanation as well as to exactly why and what was the intent of the council member when he felt the need to forward the confidential email to the town administrator, and what was the intent, and would like an explanation as well and exactly why the town administrator felt the need to forward the confidential email and inform the president of RCI that the town council's executive session was in regards to issues related to RCI. What was their motive? What was the reason? What were they to gain from it? Were they acting in good faith with the council? No. Were they thinking that premature disclosure of the matter might harm the interest of the council or its members? No. All I can do is speculate that it was for their own interest for whatever intent it was, and it certainly was not for an overall good intentions for the council. However, in regards to the president of RCI's letter sent by his attorney to a council member, the council will not be held hostage nor threatened by what we choose to discuss in the executive session, as we have a governmental and fundamental right to do so, and we will continue to do so. As for those who were in attendance last month and witnessed the comments of the president of RCI, this is a good example of what happens when a council member chooses to disclose the contents of an executive session with a non-member, the town administrator, who then forwarded the confidential email to RCI. This was not for the overall public good, and is why we have executive sessions. It is not to hide anything from the public, but to protect any entity in which the council may have concerning discussions regarding issues that need addressed. Council members should provide good public leadership by transmitting constituents' wishes and working together to make good decisions for our municipality. An effective council member puts the law, code, and citizens first, regardless of personal benefit or bias. A good council member chooses to set aside preconceived ideas, personal likes or dislikes, and consistently achieves the highest level of adherence to his oath of office. It is our duty to make sure that the standards set as a council member are held and made accountable for. When a council member comes into office, you take an oath of office required by the South Carolina Constitution, Article 5, Section 5. There is also an additional and second oath for elected mayors and council members, which comes from South Carolina Code Section 5-15-50, which states in part, I will equally, fairly, and impartially, to the best of my ability and skill, exercise the trust reposed me, and I will use my best endeavors to preserve the peace and carry into effect, according to law, the purposes for which I have been elected, so help me God. Along with the two oaths of office, you are also asked to adhere to, with full understanding, the state ethics laws and town of Pacolet council code adopted code of conduct, which states in part, to provide a uniform set of standards so that elected and appointed officials, while exercising their respective offices, conduct themselves in a manner that will instill public confidence and trust in the fair operations and integrity of the town's government. Also, to further enhance the importance of the oath of office, the town council's retreat of February 24th, our guest speakers were Trey Eubanks, Government Services Consultant of Appalachian Council of Governments, and Naomi Reed, Field Services Manager of the Municipal Association of South Carolina. Naomi Reed has over 20 years of direct municipal experience and provides technical assistance and consulting services to local governments across the state. As Naomi began her PowerPoint presentation, the first slide on the screen was the oath of office, and she spoke of its importance among council members and in local municipalities. I tell you this to reiterate again how serious it is and should be to one when they take the oath of office, as it is to Naomi and the Municipal Association of South Carolina. It is not to be taken lightly, and I, as a council member, take it with all seriousness and with the best of my ability to adhere to its words for myself and the citizens of Pacolet. As a council, we should operate openly, ethically, and work to engage the community in a number of decisions impacting the prosperity and well-being of our community. We are expected and held to a higher standard of morals by citizens and should conduct ourselves in that manner that shows our honesty and trustworthiness. It mattered not to the council member that they took an oath of office with their hand on the Bible, while mockery that was to God's word and everyone who watched. In no way was the conduct of the council member in alliance with any oath that was taken, nor was the administrator who broke his trustworthiness with the council. As stated per Pacolet Municipal Code, Section 2.85, that states in part, quote, the administrator shall enter into an approved bond in such sum as prescribed by the town council, conditioned for the faithful and honest performance of the duties of such office, end quote. There was no faithful or honest performance of his duties regarding his actions to the town council. Also, of the Pacolet Municipal Code 2-88 states in part, the administrator shall relate to and communicate with the council on any and all problem, situations, and conditions which shall arise concerning any department of activity of the town which, in the opinion of the administrator, is of significance. In my opinion, an administrator administrator receiving such an email should have kept it and informed the council regarding the actions of the council member who sent it to him. However, instead, he further promoted the wrongdoing of the council member and included himself in the dishonesty to the council and sent it to the president of RCI. The administrator did not relate or communicate with the council on any problem or situation that could have arisen. All this could have been avoided if the administrator was faithful and honest and done his job as prescribed. Furthermore, the town administrator, along with the town council, signed a civility promise adopted by the Municipal Association's Board of Directors with the plan to restore civility in government as a top priority and is taken very seriously by the Municipal Association of South Carolina. It states, as destructive as incivility can be in everyday life, it is particularly harmful in a city council meeting or in a municipal offices. Local government is about solving practical problems and anything that interferes with effective, respectful communication renders nearly impossible the vital jobs our members do. The civility pledge states, I pledge to build a stronger and more prosperous community by advocating the civil engagement, respecting others and the viewpoints, and finding solutions for the betterment of my city or town. Neither the council member nor the administrator was supporting this pledge. Such improper conduct and behavior of a council member should not be condoned with the silence of the collective members of the town of Pacolet council members, but be held accountable with disciplinary action as set forth in Robert's Rule of Order, revised 12th edition, section 61. The citizens of Pacolet expect and deserve a standard of personal integrity in all matters regarding the representation and duty as a town of public council member. A person of integrity behaves ethically and does the right things even behind closed doors. And in conclusion, in my opinion, by the council member and the town administrator, in my opinion, both the council member and the town administrator show a lack of trustworthiness and honesty of character. I cannot place any trust in this council member nor the town administrator to have the best interest of the town as their priority. It is a natural progression to think when a trust is broken, it makes you question what else has been happening behind closed doors that the council is unaware of. We as council members are elected to serve our community, not our own agenda. As long as a council member makes a mockery out of it and refuses to uphold the integrity of an executive session, the oath of office and code of conduct, and a town administrator who further promotes such actions with his own untrustworthiness, in my opinion, and as for me, my thoughts are that this council cannot act as a whole and work together to come to any informed and knowledgeable decision while not being able to trust their fellow council member or town administrator. I, for one, do not appreciate being deceived and made a fool of. Character, the way someone thinks, feels, and behaves, someone's personality. Confidentiality, the state of keeping or being kept secret or private. Integrity, the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. Trustworthiness, worthy of being trusted, the ability to be relied on as honest or truthful. Honor, adherence to what is right or to a conventional standard of conduct. Distrust, the feeling that someone or something can be relied upon. If you distrust someone or something, you think they are not honest or reliable. We are known by our character, and actions speak louder than words. Right is right and wrong is wrong.
Good.
I have nothing.
Jason?
Okay.
Good. Motion adjourned.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made, second, all in favor?
2 seconds.